Welcome back to Melodic Memories of Light's Monarch. I'm Casey, and I just wanted to say hi. How's it going? The world is a crazy place right now, and if you're anything like me, your mental health might be struggling a little bit with the state of the world. And I am here to say let's not focus on that for at least half an hour, or as long as you want to listen to me ramble on about my music tastes and memories. But I am here as an outlet if you'll so have me. Let's chat, let's talk. And the first kind of topic I want to touch on, aside from the state of the world, which I'm not going to touch with a 10-foot pole, because again, I understand. It's not the best thing to focus on, not good for the mental health, but something that is good for the mental health and that has helped me actually get through this little bit of a rough patch is music and movies. And those movies, I want to start with those because there aren't as many as the music, but with movies, Wallace and Gromit. I mentioned it maybe last episode, I think, where I bought the Wallace and Gromit complete collection, the Crackling collection, on 4K. Now, this set is so cool. I don't know if anyone even listening likes Wallace and Gromit, if you even know what it is. It's a stop motion, claymation, animated, shorts, movies, everything in between. I believe they have two movies, one new one on Netflix that just came out earlier this year, or I guess a couple weeks ago. It is still January, my goodness. And they have a movie that was also released back in like 2005 called Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Other than that, they've released a couple shorts, and I think they started 1989 and then went through the 90s, and then one was in 2008 after the movie they made, being A Grand Day Out, The Wrong Trousers, A Close Shave, and A Matter of Loaf or Death. Now, personally, I'm not going to break down everything to do with the shorts. I just kind of wanted to touch on them. I love them. They make me happy through all this chaos. They give me a reason to smile, amongst not only them, of course, but watching Wallace and Gromit, I sit there, I'm able to smile, I'm able to feel happy, and just kind of lost in what, I don't even know how to explain it. I know that they're from my childhood, so it could be some nostalgia that is kind of pushing this forward, but it also just feels good watching Wallace and Gromit. That is if you like stop motion, claymation. I know, Reese, you're not a fan, but I know that you're willing to try it, so I'm excited to actually try it with you, try to show it to you. But Wallace and Gromit, for those that don't know, is just a very heartfelt, good couple of characters, good movies, good shorts, and I honestly couldn't praise them enough. They've won awards after awards. They are literally beloved across the world, even though they're a little British studio that makes them, and they are the top dogs of the stop motion claymation game. And if you guys want an escape for a movie that is a little bit more child friendly and not so harsh, check out Wallace and Gromit. Even if it's just the new one on Netflix, give it a shot. I would have to recommend all and everything to do Wallace and Gromit, but to not ramble on about them too much, because I know I'm not really saying a whole lot about it. The next movie, shout out to my friend V, she showed it to me just earlier this week. A movie that came out, I think in 2020. It's called Dinner in America. Now this one is a little bit more on theme with the podcast than Wallace and Gromit is, because Wallace and Gromit, yes, it has music in it, but it's not like the focal point, and even so, it's not just like Wallace and Gromit don't really have anything to do with music, whereas in Dinner in America, it literally follows somebody that is in a band. I can't really touch on it too much. I don't want to give too many spoilers because it is a movie that is independent, an indie movie, if you will. One that not many people know of, at least to what I can assume. I don't know if this movie even has much of a following. It is just kind of one of those movies that slipped under the radar, and it's sad to say that it did. Because I have to say, it really was touching to some extent. Like, I wouldn't say it's my favorite movie in the world, but it was a good distraction from the state of the world. And also, on top of it all, it was great to see a movie that my friend V, one of my best friends, liked and wanted to share with me. And it is something that affected me. Like she was telling me before we watched it, she wasn't sure if it was something that I would enjoy, if it would actually hit me the same way it did her, or if I just kind of think of it in like a meh kind of way. And honestly, I'll have to say I really liked it. I thought the way that they did the story of the girl and the guy as it follows the two of them. There's this one girl, she's like 20 years old. She's a little bit slower and not as quick to the hop as other people are, and gets bullied for it. Literally outcasted to some extent, some degree, and no one gives her the time of day or respect that she deserves until this one guy that seems to be a criminal at first, and as you go on along with the movie, you realize that maybe people aren't exactly what they seem on the cover. Can't judge a book by its cover. And it's very much that kind of movie. And I will have to say, again, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but for those of you that want a good movie to watch, one that just kind of instills a little bit of hope and happiness and the fact that love is or could be real, give it a shot. And especially if you love music, I think it will resonate with you as well, because it sure as hell did with me. Now, that isn't to say it doesn't have its drawbacks. It isn't the best movie in the world, but it is an indie movie that I will very much support, as I personally love a lot of indie movies. One of my favorite movie franchises, Terrifier, that is an indie movie. And honestly, indie movies sometimes, especially nowadays with the way that movies are in general, a lot of indie movies are better than the big Hollywood, big budget movies. Same with video games. Indie studios usually release better quality. It just is what it is nowadays. And it really goes to show that money doesn't mean everything. Just because it looks fancy, just because it has big names, whatever it is, does not mean it's gonna be good. And obviously, we know that by now, but you gotta give the little guys some credit and watch some indie movies because they might surprise you. And touching on Terrifier, oh, if anyone hasn't seen Terrifier, I'm sure I've talked about it before by now. I'm still waiting for my copy to come in to my local Sunrise Records, as I want the 4K Steelbook to add to my collection. I'm really excited to get it. It's going to be a little bit of a wait since I didn't get one when it first dropped. But eventually, I am patient, and if anyone has not seen Terrifier and wants to watch probably one of the best modern horror movies, at least horror slash slasher movies, if you want to watch one of the best ones in years in terms of story, production, like it's all actual practical effects. There's no CG in it, which is beautiful. So happy with it. I mean, I could go on about that, but it is something that is R-rated. It's restricted. If you're kids, maybe don't watch it, but who the fuck am I to tell you what to do? It is a crazy time. It is a good movie. And yeah, if you're not prepared, it might fuck you up a little bit, but if you want something real spooky, real scary, and really gory, give it a shot, and be sure to please, just do it for me, look a little bit deeper in to find that story, because if you do, that story is not one to be trifled with. It has been thought out, and you can tell that the guy that made Terrifier has actually put his time into the story to make it work, and it's not just being pieced together movie by movie, like kind of Nightmare on Elm Street-esque. Like it's not just kind of thrown together. It has some thought put into it. If you want to go check it out, please go check it out, as it just currently is blowing up, and I don't think it'll have any time to slow down. I believe Terrifier 4 is going to even be more recognized, and I really, really hope that since it was snubbed at the Oscars this year, that Terrifier 4 has a chance when that does eventually happen. Granted, it's probably going to be quite a few years down the line, but when it does eventually happen and become a thing of reality, I really hope that it reaches the Oscars and gets some recognition because it is one of the most inventive and well thought out horror franchises in, I want to say, the past decade. Granted, even with my bias, I say all that, but to not go on more of a tangent about that, I did want to touch on what I've been listening to throughout the week. Now, last week's episode, I did mention I was listening to Mayday Parade, going through their stuff, and granted, even though I kind of took a break, not because I don't like them, not because I was bored of them, none of that. I just had a little moment and figured I should try to listen to something else, and I very much did. It's been an album actually that I wanted to listen to, I think since early last year, and I realized the reason I didn't listen to the original version of this album is because I realized it was getting a 10-year anniversary redo. It's a re-recording of Let the Ocean Take Me by Amity Affliction. Now, back, I want to say early last year, I listened to one of their other albums, being Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them, and that album, it just drew me to it because of the album artwork. The fact that it was the ghost, and the name of it itself, it seemed super emo, and it seemed something that was right up my alley, because that's kind of how I felt. I felt that at the time, not saying I feel that anymore or right now, but my God, listening to both of those albums, especially the Let the Ocean Take Me redo, that album, wow. I'm not surprised that it is their most popular album. It touches on such heavy topics, from the very first track being Pittsburgh, into Lost and Fading, Don't Lean on Me, which is my personal favorite, The Way Down, Never Alone, Death's Hand, FML, My Father's Son, Forest Fire, and Give It All. That album, from start to finish, if you like metalcore, mind you, it is a metalcore album, it is extremely screamy, but it hits every right spot for me, and I can personally understand the screamer. I don't know the band very well, I don't know their names, or else I would use them, but fuck, do I ever enjoy their music. I listened to it on a day when I was having really bad mental health, really bad mental day, and I will have to say, yes, it made me feel and process the emotions that I needed to feel and process at the time, and it gave me the strength to push through that day. And ever since then, I've had that album and Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them on repeat the whole week. I realistically haven't listened to much else except for the odd podcast, as I do every day. I listen to The Basement Yard or Other People's Lives, depending on what is new at the time and what I go from release date. So I listen to them in the morning, and then after I'm done the podcasts, I will listen to the Amity Affliction. And I must say, both of these albums are so good. The Let the Ocean Take Me, obviously it's the 10-year anniversary redo. That one is a lot heavier than Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them, but they're both really good. And Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them goes Coffin, All My Friends Are Dead, Soak Me in Bleach, which is my favorite, All I Do Is Sink, Baltimore Rain, A Loneliness, Forever, Just Like Me, Born to Lose, Fever Dream, and Catatonia. Now, all things considered, both albums are very good. One is less heavy than the other, yes, but all very good, all very helpful for me, and I've been just going back and forth between the two all week. It's been so good to just listen to something that is just so cathartic and helps me feel like everything's gonna be okay in a very, maybe violent from the outside looking in kind of perspective, but from my perspective, they are very emotionally charged. They are very in touch with their emotions as a band, and their lyricism really pushes that home. I can't give them enough praise. If anybody even knows of them, they're kind of like an Australian metalcore band. Power to you. For those that don't know them, please go give them a listen, because I personally have been fucking with them hard lately, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. I just can't get enough of their lyrics, of their album. Like I have a lot of albums to listen to because they have a pretty big discography. But I will eventually get to them as I wanted to start here, and I can't really even think of a better starting point because it was an album that I was looking forward to. I finally listened to it, and I'm finally going to be able to get it on vinyl, as Sunrise Records currently has one in stock. It is put aside for me for when I get paid, and it's something to look forward to as the month finally comes to an end, and we hit February and kind of go further into what is considered to be the unknown, because the way that our countries currently are, being Canada and USA, for my country, Canada, we're very much in the unknown, as we've got a lot of things going on in our country, be it the election that might be coming up soon, or trying to understand our southern neighbors and get everything kind of sorted out. So it's going to be interesting, but if you want some music to get lost in, I would highly recommend The Amity Affliction if you like the metal music. But if you that's maybe not your thing, I also did find, as I was looking for Coming Home, yes, a Diddy song. I didn't even realize that it was his song. So I didn't listen to that one. I listened to Skylar Grey's Coming Home Part 2, which I would recommend that if you are really itching for that song. But since I don't want to support pieces of shit that do terrible things, I will have to say that as I was looking for that song, I found somebody completely by chance. I wasn't looking for this person, I just stumbled upon them, and their music, honestly, is very, very good. Now, obviously, I don't know much of his stuff. I've only listened to 3 songs, and I've already sent them to Reese, as I figured they were right up her alley, her vibe completely. And this man's name is Jared Benjamin. He only has about like 800,000 listeners on Spotify, I think. So nothing too crazy, but he's just kind of an independent artist, doesn't have any albums yet, but some singles here and there. He's in his mid-20s, as his actual bio says, just a kid in his mid-20s. And honestly, he seems pretty down to earth. All I've heard so far is Evergreen and Die On Me, which is his newest single called Forever. And before that, the one that actually I found him through was I'm Coming Home, because I was looking for Coming Home. Obviously, I knew that that wasn't the song, but I'm like, oh, maybe this is an acoustic cover, because the cover of it is him walking down a road with a guitar on his back, and it just felt like something that might be an acoustic cover. Turns out it was not. It is actually its own song, and they are very emotional songs in terms of finding and being with the one you love. Very romantic and heartfelt. I personally loved them. And I feel like if you guys want something that isn't going to scream at you and talk about a little bit about loving your partner, or at least sending love to somebody that you do just love, give him a shot. He's a smaller artist, and I'm sure that he could use the listens. So if you want something that is more akin to like Noah Kahan, I would definitely recommend that. But I still have to look further into him and his music, as again, I don't know much of it. I don't know if he's got an album on the way. I don't really know much at all, but I'm excited to dive on in. Aside from that, though, I also just kind of wanted to touch on the fact that a bunch of new shit just dropped on Friday. Now, if it wasn't Friday, it was throughout the week, because wow, is there ever a lot of music coming out currently. And I think we're in for a really good year musically. We'll see what the world brings us, but for the music that we've got so far, I can't really complain. I want to touch on first, shout out to my friend Connor and his band Violet Night. They just dropped a new song, and that song was so good. As my friend Crystal, shout out to her as well, has said they've finally found their sound, I honestly would have to agree. And I mean that in the best way possible. Now, they released the song Does It Even Matter just on Friday. Single for their new upcoming album. Hasn't been talked on too much, but I'll try to ask him, see if I can get some insight for everyone listening, if anyone is. But I love them. That band I found at Grizzfest back in like 2017. And there was actually a time, like, yes, him and I weren't friends prior to me seeing his band play. But on the way down to Grizzfest, as I had to drive like 2 hours ish, I was listening to the bands that I knew I'd be excited for, and I also added a few songs here and there from the ones that I didn't know. And one of the ones that I didn't know was Violet Night. And listening to their music, at the time, mind you, they only had their EP out, which their EP, being I Hope You're Well, is honestly so far away from how they sound now. Not in a bad way, but just different. And I fell in love with that music. Like, fell in love. It hit me right in the heart. I felt every word of what he was singing, and I related to every little bit of it. And even to this day, my favorite piece of work that they have released, granted that might be stretching it to say this, but it is one of my favorite pieces of work that they've released. I love I Hope You're Well. From Wait to Dawn to Come Down to I Hope You're Well, just 4 songs long. It is so good. And I really hope with the whole redoing your albums when it hits the 10-year mark, I really hope they do it with this one, as this year marks their 10-year anniversary as a band. So congratulations. Yes, it'll be in August, but congratulations, you guys. Congratulations, Connor. If somehow you're listening to this, congratulations on 10 years, and good luck with the upcoming album and everything that you got planned for it. I'm so excited, and if you want to talk about it and be on the podcast, let me know. I will be sure to reach out and see if you're at all interested, because that would be a hell of a time to just chat with you and pick your brain a little bit. But aside from that, there was also Electric Callboy. They released a new song. They are a very different kind of band. I know I mentioned them before, but they are very unapologetically them. That's probably the best way to put it. And their new song is called Elevator Operator. It is very silly, it is very energetic, and very crazy. So anyone that likes crazy energetic music mixed with like metal, give that a listen, because wow, they have some good music. Not just that one, but like all of them in general. They just go. They just go places, and it's so hard to describe or define them. You just need to listen to them to understand. Other than that, though, there was Marrow by Call Me Charisma. Again, another Call Me Charisma song. Very good. Again, I love him. Shout out to Paul. He's the reason I even know of Call Me Charisma. And I am very happy with this new song, along with Shinedown's new release, 365 and Dance Kid Dance. Great. Again, Shinedown, I mean, I don't really have to touch much on Shinedown. Everyone knows that they're good. And there was actually a statement from the singer just recently that, like, yo, we are genre defining. We don't fall into one kind of, oh, you're a rock band, oh, you're a pop band, oh, you're a blank band. Like, no, we are just a band. We love music. And our genre doesn't exist. Our genre is Shinedown. And I respect that so much. Respect and props to them. Other than that, there was another song called Broken Heart Collector by Echo, another Echo feature, this time with Arankai. Might have butchered the fuck out of that, but they are a small artist, only like 443-ish K monthly listeners. So if you want to get another rap, kind of sad boy rap music song, give that one a shot. Echo never fails. Honestly, if you like that kind of music, Echo never fails, especially if you're someone like me who adores NF. Not saying that he reaches every kind of height that NF does reach himself, but when you're waiting for something new, he sure fills the void quite well. Aside from that, though, we got some more. I've got a list here. I've got Bad Flower, their new single London. Hello? They are a very good band. I very much appreciate them. I don't know them well enough to speak on them too much, but their new song I fuck with. My favorite song of theirs that I have heard, mind you, is Family, and that song fucks with me. in a good way, but in a sad way all the same. I just really like it. It talks to me, it helps me. And honestly, if anyone knows of Bad Flower and hasn't heard Family, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's one that I just relate to, even though I shouldn't to some extent. I just can't help but relate to it, and it's kind of sad to say that, but it is one I would recommend if you don't, for whatever reason, like London, or if you do like London and want to dive deeper. Give Family a listen as well, as it is my favorite of theirs. But to keep things going and a little bit faster here, we got Thrill Seeker, 20th Anniversary Edition by August Burns Red. That was completely re-recorded from the ground up 20 years ago. I can't believe the original is 20 years old. Absolutely wild. Again, Thrill Seeker, 20th Anniversary, August Burns Red. If you like some metalcore shit, again, give them a listen. Then on to Killswitch Engage's new song. They just dropped one. That one being, I believe, on the way to their new upcoming album called This Consequence. Comes out February 21st. Hello, some more good rock and metal music coming out for us. And then I can even go on to say Cult by Magnolia Park, leading up to Vamp, their upcoming album. That drops April 11th. So much music. I tell you, so much music is coming out, and it's all just so good. It feels inspired, and it feels ready to take on the year. Like, these bands are like, yo, you're not alone, let's take on this world together through music. Next, I want to touch on Knuckle Puck. They're a band that might not be absolutely huge, or at least when they were huge, it was like 10 years ago. And they released a new song, actually, that I was completely caught off guard by because I haven't been following them much over the years. It just came on my radar, and I was very happily pleased. Nice to Know Ya. They're very much a punk kind of band. Post-hardcore, post-punk. That might even be wrong to say, so please ignore my ignorance. But they're very good. I would very much recommend them as well. And to finish it all off, there's probably a whole shit ton that I'm forgetting to even mention at this point. But what I did want to touch on last to just say, Dayseeker. They've got new music coming. They've got a new album coming. And we can expect it as a tweet by Rory, the actual singer of the band. He said that new music is coming and you can expect it, at least something. He didn't specify what, but something at least come April. And that is something I can say I am so hyped for. I am so excited for. Dayseeker has never missed, in my eyes at least. And I know that is biased to say, but them and Bad Omens I personally love. They both have music coming out this year. And my God, am I ever ready for both bands to drop something amazing. Please give me all you got. I am ready. I need the distraction as much as we all do. This world, the way it's going, music is here to help, and it always will be, as it always has been. So if anyone is kind of stressing real hard about the world, about what we're all going through, everyone, even day-to-day life, even if it isn't the whole world's problem, you're not alone. This music is here to help you. And if you can find solace in any of it, any of the ones that I mentioned, or any that you like yourself, please tell me all about it. I would love to hear about it. I want to get in the discussion. I want to know what helps you through these moments that are a struggle, as these songs have helped me. And that's all I'm here to share about. I'm here to share my memories and my love for music. And even if I might not make it myself as a musician one day, I will always be here to make it in some way, shape, or form as someone to just talk to, as someone to listen and yap on as much as they please. I am here to also listen to you and your thoughts. Reach out to me at Lights Monarch. That is my socials on everything. I would love to hear what has been getting you through this week, through this month, and so far, I know we're still at the beginning, but through this year. Now, we've got a long ways to go. We're just nearing February, and my next episode here, not the one I'm recording right now, but my next episode for next Monday, February 3rd, is my next episode, and that one I want to touch a little bit upon Palais Royale and my experience with them over the years and my favorites, be it albums, songs, ones that stand out, ones that speak to me, as the concert I'm going to February 6th is Palais Royale with Johnny Gilbert opening for them. Johnny Gilbert, I'm not so excited for. I've heard some random things about him that he's not the greatest guy. I can't speak upon it. I know nothing. All I know is him from My Digital Escape back in old YouTube days and him being a little emo boy. So, props to them. I'm excited to see them. Haven't seen them in many, many, many years. But that is a topic for another day, another episode. And this is where I'll end this one. Thanks so much for listening. If you want, reach out at Lights Monarch. And even more so, if you want to get some makeup, use my code Lights Monarch at Cursed Cosmetics. The links are down in the description. Go get yourself something. Send me a photo. I would love to know about it. If you're at all interested, that is there for you. Good 10% off code. In any sense, though, thanks so much for listening, and hope you enjoyed the episode, even if it was a little bit shorter than usual. And all I have to say is thank you for discovering the music within.